Welcome to another episode in our Day in the Life of webinar series. I am very, very excited for this evening's conversation. We are very, very lucky to have Dr. Soraya Beukes with us here today. She is, amongst many things, a law lecturer at CPUT. Soraya, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening on a Monday, especially to talk to us. This is going to be very, very cool. For our audience members, Soraya and I were talking a little bit backstage and I already got super excited. She's going to have some very, very cool stuff that she's going to be sharing with us today. So welcome, Soraya.
Thank you very much, Priya. And yeah, I'm very excited to share my journey with you and to let you leave Gradlinc with not only being inspired, but also know that you have got information here that you can take forward to use in your future, in your career going forward. Can you hear me, Priya?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you. All right, so Soraya, obviously you're a law lecturer, you have your LLB. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your, the sort of the story leading to where you are now in your life.
Oh yeah, that was quite an incredible journey. I was saying earlier on to Priya, not only do I want to inspire young people, young and old, to never give up, to never let the journey, let life dictate to you that studying or learning is a destination. It's a journey. My journey started late. Only at the age of 40 plus did I go to the university for the first time. And that was because I come from the class of 76. And that class down tools for Afrikaans as a medium of instruction because we didn't want that. And I never went back to school until when I was 40 plus years old, I decided I'm going to study an LLB and I want to be a lawyer, and all of what you feel as law students. That is what I felt. But 3/4 way through the law degree, they offered me a bursary to do my master's, and then they wanted me to teach law, and that is where I got a new passion going. And instead of ending up litigating, being an admitted attorney, I ended up being an academic. And I find that very inspiring. I find that I can do better for myself and for people if I am in the fraternity where I can impart my knowledge. After I did my master's, I also got a bursary to do my doctorate. When I completed that, I also got a bursary to do my postdoctorate. And both of these I went to do overseas through what they call a mobility program for research for doctoral students and postdoc students. So if your choices are maybe not to go into litigation or admitted attorney, you could also become a law lecturer after you have a master's degree. That is the minimum requirement. And of course, then you are in the fraternity of doing the type of things that I have done. Going to Europe, to European universities, where you then read what they call your PhD for maybe 6 months. So you are there inspired by international scholars. You write, you research, you come back. Then with my postdoc, they gave me a whole year to come and just write.
Oh,
so
wow.
you immerse yourself into the culture of a country of your choice. This is through what they call the Erasmus Mundus scholarships. So you would do well if you're thinking of a career, perhaps in lecturing, to look at those Erasmus scholarships, because they enhance your research careers which means postgraduate studies. Those are your research careers for publication, because those are the things that you would need to do when you are in the fraternity of higher education. But there are so many more things that you can do with your LLB, just your LLB.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I'm already getting a couple of questions with regard to the mobility program and the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Just for our audience members who are asking about that, the particulars for these programs, you can always reach out to the Gradlinc team. We will talk to Soraya and get the information for you. But maybe you could tell us a little bit about this mobility program before we talk about all of the various options that you can do with your life with an LLB.
Yes, and this was very exciting for me when I discovered it. And it's not that you just know these things when you are at university. It's such a huge institution. So you're not necessarily familiar with the different departments. You probably just look at your faculty. But you need to pay more close attention to the international office, because you have an international office at your university that deal with all these mobility programs. There are various ones. It's not just the Erasmus Mundus. There's a Kader Asmal mobility program. There are also the Fulbright mobility programs. The Kader Asmal program goes to Ireland. There is the Fulbright that goes to America. And then there's the Erasmus Mundus that goes to Europe. Then there are Chinese mobilities. There are Japanese mobilities. All those Eastern Asian countries, they all have mobility agreements, memorandums of understandings with our universities through our international offices.
Yeah.
With mobility, what you do with postgrad studies, if you are interested, you know that after your 4 years of LLB, you then have already included an honors into the LLB. That's why it's 4 years. Because all the other degrees are 3 years, and then you do 1 year of honors. But LLB, you already have your honors when you complete your 4 years. Then you can enroll in an LLM program, meaning you're going to write a master's. 2 ways to do a master's. You can do it by dissertation. That means if you're now really tired of writing exams and those kind of things after 4 years of LLB, I know your assignments, the stuff, you want to get rid of it, then you can write a dissertation, a thesis. And by your 4th year, you will know, if you start thinking about it now, what part of the law am I passionate about that I would want to write a thesis on? And if you write a full dissertation thesis, that's all you do. You get a maximum of 4 years to write this thesis. But most people finish it within the first 2 years. Or if you are not the type that maybe can just write on their own like that, it's not that you write completely on your own. You get a supervisor that mentors you through the process. But the other way is you do modules. You do 4 modules, meaning you do postgrad modules, not so many subjects as you would have done in your LLB, maybe about 4 modules, and then you write a paper. So those are the 2 choices. But whichever one you choose, you can fill in the application for an Erasmus Mundus or any one of these other programs that I've mentioned to you. You can get more information at your international office. On the Erasmus Mundus, they are quite flamboyant, and their footprint is very large in Africa, and particularly in South Africa, and also at Stellenbosch University. So you should inquire about it, because every year they will have, when their bursaries applications open, they will have a talk show. They will have it in the auditorium in a big venue where you can come and listen to how you should apply and who is eligible. Everybody is eligible. As long as you have, obviously you must have, look at your 60% pass
Yeah.
rate. That is going to where they look at you first. They're not looking just for A students. They're looking for a blend of students. But you need to put yourself at 60% so that you can become eligible. So you don't want to be on the cusp. Put yourself at 65% so that you know how to outsmart the rest of your opponents when you make the applications. So any one of you can apply,
Yeah.
but you must have enrolled in a postgraduate program. And then there are choices. They give you the range of universities, and there are hundreds that you can choose from. A country, I chose Belgium for the one, and then I chose Spain for the other one because Belgium was so cold, and then Spain was so nice and warm. So you see, you can make those choices.
Yeah. Soraya,
Do
tell me, with the programs that they offer, do they look at your extracurriculars, that you're a well-rounded student aside from being 60+%? Would it be advantageous to the students if they do more during their degree?
It is advantageous to engage in community projects so that they can see your leadership qualities, so that they can see how divergent you are, that you can actually work with a diverse communities. Like, of course, we are blessed with that we have all these different communities, the different cultures. But one of the key things that the Mundus and any one of these mobilities want is for you to be culturally adaptable. So if you've done, because remember, you're going to be in Europe, and this program is from all over the world. So you're going to have Europeans, Brazilians, Japanese, Chinese, Russians, they are all on the program. Those people are all my friends now because they were on the programs, and this is how you make collaborations. So yes, those community outreach projects, you must join your street law because you've got street law projects that you do those things. And if you want to go into the realm of human rights, then that is also a good avenue, because when you fill in these forms, these applications for the mobilities, you need to explain to them, why do you want to do this? What is driving your passions? What would be the end result? When you have to come back to your country, what would you like to bring back to your country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are general things that they ask you that you need to think about.
And you can't give generic answers. You've got to really think about this and go, why is it that I am the ideal candidate for this particular program? Let's backtrack this a little bit. Every time anyone says law, or LLB, they think attorney, and that is the only thing that I can do with an LLB. But that there's more that you can do with an LLB. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Like, what's the difference between an attorney and advocate in South Africa?
Those are such important distinctions to make. And I know whilst you're doing your LLB, you're not even thinking about it. You're just on this journey. But there are these two professions that dovetails out of your LLB. So you have an LLB. There are actually three professions that you can enter into law. Either you become an advocate or you become an admitted attorney, meaning you're going to be a practicing attorney, or you can become a prosecutor. Those are your three choices, right? And they have different ways of how you get to them. With a prosecutor, you have to write an admissions exam. It's an MCQ exam. I think it's 100 or 200 MCQ questions that they give you, and you must have 60% to pass, and then you are in. And then they train you on the job, right? When it comes to an admitted attorney, of course, after you've done your LLB for 4 years, then you're going to do articles for 2 years. You can also make a an election to not do articles for 2 years and rather go to law school at UCT for 1 year. Then you cut your article short by 1 year. Then you only need to go to a law firm and do articles for 1 year. And of course, after that 1 year, you need to write your bar exams, and then you get admitted as an attorney. And then, of course, now you need to find yourself a job as an attorney in a law firm or open up your own law firm because you would be an admitted attorney. But if you go the advocate way, then still all three these careers, they have an LLB. They don't have, that's their basis. It's your choice which one you become. You can, after you've become an admitted attorney and you don't like it, unadmit yourself and go and admit yourself as an advocate. You can make those choices or go to be a prosecutor. It's not that you're stuck for life in it. With an advocate, you have two choices. Either you go to what they call the Cape Bar if you are in Cape Town, and there you have to apply to be mentored by an advocate at the bar. And they call that pupillage. You do that for 1 year, and then you write a 8-hour open book exam, and they accept you then as an advocate at the bar. Then you get an office, they call it a chambers, at Huguenot chambers in the city, or Kierom chambers in the city, near where the High Court is. You get offices there, right? That is a bar admitted advocate. But when you have your LLB, you can just simply the next day go and make an application to the court to swear you in as an advocate that is not at the Cape Bar, but you are then an independent advocate. You don't need to go write any exams. You just need your LLB. Now you're an advocate. But now you must remember we still have what we call the split bar. So you can't take work directly from the public. We have tried to amend that through the new bill that we put through, but it's still not clear. So you are then only at liberty to take cases from admitted attorneys that's practicing. That is the distinction between the three. So you make your choices. Those are the law choices that you have, but you have so many choices.
Yeah. So what if you don't want to practice? You don't want to go to court. You've got your LLB. What else can you do with a legal degree aside from go to court?
It's not that you're not a lawyer because you're not admitted. You have the knowledge, right? So you don't want to go through the rigors of being an admitted attorney because you don't want to be practicing. You are more an administrative type of person, or you are more the type of person that just want the little office to do their work. You don't want to be standing up in a court litigating. You don't want to be burning the midnight oil every weekend with all these piles of paperwork with court cases and that sort of thing in the real life. You have an LLB. You don't particularly have to do things to do with law.
Yep.
Your LLB is such a vast knowledge, but it is your attitude towards gaining that knowledge. If you're going to university to just be listening to lectures, writing the exams, pass, and if you were a passer, you're just learning like a parrot and passing in A's. If you are not going in there and be passionate like a doctor, a medical doctor, you can't be a medical doctor, not be passionate about wanting to heal people. That must be your premise. Otherwise, it's not going to happen because it's a gooey job. The law's the same. If you do something wrong here, somebody's liberty is compromised. You don't want to be that person. So you want to learn the law, knowing it and being able to apply it. Because knowledge without application doesn't exist.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
know a lot, But if you can't apply it, it's as good as knowing nothing. So when they ask you to do your assignments, to do your various things that they ask you to do in your studies, none of it is superfluous. When
Yeah.
you're doing an assignment, we are not just testing the knowledge of the assignment, we're testing. If it's a group assignment, can you work under leadership? Can you be a leader in a group? Your community, your communal skills. How do you work in a team? Those are the skills that gets developed. And you must research, right? So now you
Yeah.
must go to the internet. So we're looking at your technological skills. Those are all graduate attributes. Also, if you're studying at Stellenbosch, have you looked at the graduate attributes? Because that's what the university promised you will have when you have your degree. Go and see. There are graduate attributes that speaks to the skills that you will have based on the knowledge that you've acquired. So you already know what you're going to have technological skill, you have got communal skills, you will have a range of skills that is embedded in your studies. So
Yeah.
it's all about your attitude. Am I studying it to get a piece of paper or am I studying it to get the knowledge? Study it to get the knowledge. If I want to set an example for you, I just read everything because I was there with 18-year-olds at the age of 40 plus. I
Yeah.
just read everything. I didn't want to be left behind. And when I acquired the knowledge, I thought, wow, this is a great world to live in, where you have so much knowledge, you just want to impart it to people. And knowledge humbles you. It
Yeah.
doesn't put you on a pedestal.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to actually be in something. Don't go through the motions for the sake of it. You know, we're always telling students it's not just get the piece of paper. You've got to get involved. You've got to care about what you're doing. You know, you and I were talking a little offline before the webinar started about the situation of unemployment with the graduate community in South Africa. And Soraya, you were saying that you know there are jobs, but it's also about the individuals and the passion and the commitment to finding the employment, and that starts you know with you know how are you dealing with your degree? Are you caring about your degree? Correct?
Absolutely. And just to touch on to the different other jobs that you can have, you can, if you're looking at government, in the public service, you can work in local government, risk management, compliance, all those things, because you've got an LLB. You don't need to be an admitted attorney. You can work in provincial government, same things. You can be in national government, a director, a DG, a deputy director. It doesn't matter which part, whether it's public work, whether it's education. With a law degree, you can straddle all of that.
Yeah, you can
You
even
can
go into
be,
corporate.
yes, you can go into corporates. You can work for all the insurance companies. You can work for all the cellular companies, risk and compliance management, legal advisors. Those are all non-admitted. You just have your LLB. You can, even if you feel that you want to go in the United Nations, UNICEF, their food program. So when you search for a law job, you need to search all those various places that I'm talking about now. And then, if you feel that you want to use your law expertise, you're not admitted, but you want to use what you know about the law in your communities, you can open up a paralegal office and you can be a paralegal with a law degree.
Yeah.
And you can charge for those services. You don't say that you're an admitted attorney, you say you're operating as a paralegal. And nobody can stop you from doing that. So when you don't get a job and things is not working out, go open up a paralegal advisory office. They're next to the rent office in the township. When the people come from the rent office, then they can come to you to ask them about their housing problems. And you can say to them, go to the housing tribunal, or I can represent you at the housing tribunal and I will charge you 250 rand. See? And that is how you help the communities and you're putting food on the table whilst you're waiting for the big job to come. But maybe the big job is that's where you start, because it's not where you start, it's where you end.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, with the parting words, I come from being taught under a tree. It's many of our stories. I come from Rosenville, the Novo Rosenville. It still exists. It's a farmland. It's more developed now. When we were there, we were schooled on the farm school. The school was one building that also was the clinic. It was too small. So half of us was under a tree. So we go to school bare feet. Yes, this is our story of our parents. I'm not unique. Why am I saying this to you? It's because you can be whoever you want to be in this world. Poverty is not a stumbling block. Poverty is an enhancer of your passions, of who you want to become. You want to become Bill Gates? Be that. You want to be Tesla's owner? Be that. They all have the one thing that you have in common. They could read and they could write. If you can read and you can write, you can be anything.
Yeah.
It depends on you.
Oh my God, Soraya, that was so great. Sure. I always knew that this was going to be an amazing conversation with you. Thank you so much for that. I'm actually lost for words, and I'm supposed to be running this webinar series. And unfortunately, we're out of time. So now I need to say goodbye. I wish that we could have done this for longer. This was inspirational. This was wonderful. And I really hope that the audience took a hell of a lot out of this. I know I have. I didn't know, for example, that you could do the paralegal thing with an LLB. That's beautiful. It's brilliant. And I love it because it's helping the community. But we need to say goodnight now. So thank you again, Soraya. This was absolutely wonderful. And I will definitely be keeping in touch with you after this. Hey?
Thank you very much. And thank you to all that tuned in and giving us your time and listening. And go and get it. Don't let life eat you. Eat life.
Nice. I love that. Thank you. On that note, we're going to be ending the webinar series. Have a